Hello, this is Chad Smith with BC Academy, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add the alt attribute to your images on your website. Now here we have a basic image tag with the JPEG. Now nobody knows what this fake image is, especially Google, so to help out our users, mainly those with screen readers, and Google to index and crawl our page, we can add the alt attribute. Now the alt attribute is just alternative text pertaining to the image. So since Google's going to get this and kind of understand what this is an image of, and then it'll help with your SEO and any kind of search related queries like image searches or whatnot. This isn't a place for a lot of keywords, so you want to keep it as descriptive to the image as you can, with being as short and sweet. So 5 to 10 words probably is good enough. If you try to add a lot more, like if you're adding, for this example, we got @@ walking on Hoth. If we added comma Star Wars, comma Empire Strikes Back, comma it's a trap, things like that, we're gonna over optimize our alt attribute, which will decrease our SEO, or at least it won't help us with SEO. So we might not actually lose any page views, but we're not going to gain any either. So to make our alts work to our benefit, we want to keep that into a nice, short, descriptive text that just describes what that image is. Now you can also improve your SEO by adding descriptive file names. So when Google crawls this site, it'll also crawl the actual source of the image. And if we can add some keywords to that, or make it a little bit more descriptive to the image, then that will kind of increase or at least help our SEO. In case you were wondering what the @ats were, there we go, walking on Hoth. Though I'm not part of the Empire, I'm actually in the Jedi Order. So now that we cleared that up, let's go ahead and look at BC and see how we implement these alt attributes. So here on our test site, we have a few different places where we can really take advantage of the alt attribute. So we got web app images here, so all of my images in my web app. We'll have product images, and then we'll have some in content images. So let's go ahead and start here and add some alt attributes to our in content images. So from the back end, we'll navigate to our page, and once we're here, we can scroll down to find our image. Now we have 3 different ways basically to add our alt attribute. One is the way I usually do it, is just jump into the HTML, find where your image is, and then you can add the alt attribute. Now as you can see, BC has already added the actual attribute, but BC doesn't know what the image is either. So to clear up the confusion, we can just add that text in here, and this is scented oil with sticks. So now everybody knows a little bit more about this image, and our site will benefit from it. So if I update that, now this image has an alt attribute. Another way we can add that attribute is if we select the image. So you may not want your clients jumping into the HTML and adding and deleting things, and you might not want to do that yourself. So an alternative would be select the image, and here you can see our alt value has been placed in this tooltip box. Now tooltip by definition would be something that pops up when you hover over the image, and that's not what the alt tag does. It's actually what the title attribute does. So if we were to take this for what it says, this wouldn't be the alt attribute, it would be the title attribute, but it actually adds to the alt value. So you can type that in here if you like, or the third way would be go to the properties box, and here you can see we have a little bit more kind of control of what happens with the image. We got our image source, so we can change that if we need to. We got the margins, we can move it around, text alignment, and then here we have our actual alt text. So that's where you would add any alternative text to describe that image. So now that we have the in content images done, let's go ahead and jump into our products. So if we go to our module templates and we'll look at the small layout here, you can see that BC has provided us with a small image tag, and you can find that over here in your toolbox. And what that's going to do, if we go to an image and we inspect this image, you can see that BC has given us a link, an A tag with the link to that product detail view, and then within that link it's going to give us an image tag with an ID associated with that product, the source of the image for that product that we gave in the small image field, and then it actually does fill in the alt attribute. Now this is because since it's a small image for that one product, BC assumes that that's what it is, so let's just put that alt attribute in there with the value of the product name, which is helpful. But what if you want to change that alt attribute? You want to give it a different value, or maybe you want to add, say, the product code so that that product code becomes something that can be searchable as well. So to do that, we're going to have to basically rewrite this code ourselves and then just put in some tags from BC. So back in the back end, I'm going to just jump on top of this tag, and we can start with our A tag. We're going to need an href. Close it out, and within there we're going to have an image tag with a source and an alt attribute. Now if you want, you can give this a class, you can put any attributes that you would like in there, but let's just fill out the ones we have now. So for the href, we're going to use the tag item URL no link, and that will provide just the path to our product detail page. And once we add it to the A tag, we're making it a link. The source, now we have small image no link, and we have just regular small image. So if we put either one of these in there, it's going to break. And that's because it's going to an output. As we said before, this tag outputs an A tag with an image tag inside of it. And if we put that as the source of our image, it's not going to work. I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to see what happens, and then we'll fix it. So for the alt attribute, we can add our name of the product, and it should be in here as well, but we're going to want the name underscore no link, because we don't want both our source and our alt attribute to break. And we'll add the product code. So now we'll have the product name and the product code in our alt attribute. We'll save that, come back here and reload. And now you can see, if I get rid of that, I have a broken image, and then the actual image, and then some other text below it because it doesn't know what's going on here. And what happened was, when we created that A tag, and it's still, you can see my cursor changes, it's still linking to our product, but in that source attribute, then we have another A tag, and it kind of breaks up, and then it adds our image as well. So, and you can see, since it doesn't have our product code, it just kind of broke that tag altogether. So to fix this, we're going to need kind of a third option that's not in our toolbox over here, but you will find it in the BC Docs, if you look at the tags for the small product view and the large product view, you have the option to add an underscore path to this tag, and that's just like the no link or the underscore value for web app images. Now this is just going to provide us the path for our image. So we'll save that and reload, and now we have double images because we still had that small image tag in there. We can remove that, and now we just have our single image. And if we inspect the element, it looks pretty much just like the one BC provided, except we don't have an ID on our image tag, and we have kind of a custom alt tag or alt attribute. It's not really a tag. Now we have another option for products, because depending on the product, maybe the title of the product or the name of the product doesn't really describe the image very well. So to do that, if you want an actual completely custom alt attribute, you can take this out and then maybe use one of your custom tags here, and then if we save that, when you go to your products and you're filling out all this information down here in custom 4, you can just add your custom alt value or your alt text and save that, and then if we refresh and inspect it again, now we have better alt text for our image. So that would be your options for the product images. Now let's take care of that web app. So on our home page here, we have our custom web app that has a lot of great images in it, but as you can expect, they don't have an alt attribute. Well, they do because BC added it for us, but that attribute doesn't have a value, and that's really what we want to give our images. So from the back end, if we go to our web apps, we go into our homepage slider, we'll check out the layout. Now you see here we've built out this image using the tag image underscore value, which is the same as path in products, but it's value for web apps. And BC has added the alt attribute for us. We just need to fill in some text for it. Now, since these images are different, I can't just hard code text, right? And if I just did like a name underscore no link for a web app, that might not be actually describing the image. So, we don't want the alt attribute to describe the web app item. We want it to describe the image. So if the quality here was the name of this web app item, that doesn't really help us with the image. It doesn't describe the image at all. So what we can do instead of that is make our own tag, which is what makes web apps so cool in the first place. So we can just add a new field, make it a string, text string, and then within our layout, this alt attribute just needs to have that alt text field. And then when you're editing your web app items, you see the item name for this one is actually 3, so that would have been even less helpful than responsive web design. So if we look, we got a lady on a beach, so we can make our alt text moving on beach at sunset. And then reloading our page, if we go to our image, just as you expect, we have a nice alt attribute to our web app item. So that is how you add the alt attribute to your in-content images, your product images, and your web apps. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.